Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Shit's Hard. I'm your host, Amber, and today we are talking about mental health, which is a pretty big one. If you're watching this episode, you'll notice I got a little bit of a new setup here, which I'm so excited about. I didn't think I could be so excited about a mic. Like I was not that excited to get a new mic. I just needed one, and the old one was broke. And I'm having so much fun with this one. It's literally so much fun. This one's way cooler than the other ones. So we've got upgrades all around, which is really exciting, and I'm so excited. But today's episode is going to be not a little more serious-ish, hopefully not too serious. Still going to be a very chill, casual space, but mental health is really important. It's very important to me. If you know me at all, it's like part of my whole thing. And I've been going through it lately, so that's what we're gonna get into it. Hopefully these episodes haven't been too dark lately for you guys to be like, this isn't what it used to be. But I want to be authentic on here. I want to keep it real with you guys. And I know the more that I keep it real and authentic, the more relatable it is. And the more that you guys don't have to feel alone if you're feeling similarly. Because honestly, that's really why I started the whole podcast, was mostly when I'm going through a rough patch, just feeling super fucking alone with it. And it's hard when you don't have people directly in your life who are going through the same thing. That's not to say that your friends and family don't care. It's just it's hard when they haven't experienced it themselves. So I figure if I be vulnerable, put myself out there, and if at least one of you listeners are fuck, I relate to that, and you feel a little bit less alone, that's all I really want. So let's get into it. For this episode, we're going to be talking about the perfect version of me, not feeling like myself lately, and going back to therapy. All very important topics. And we're going to keep it lighthearted best we can, okay? Because we don't want to get too sad with it, okay? So the perfect version of me, what I want to talk about in this respect was that, I don't know, like I said, been going through it lately, been just super anxious, not feeling like myself, not feeling like the decisions that I'm making are me. I'm very looking at 2 days ago, I'm why the fuck did I do that? Or why am I feeling this way? Or I don't want to feel this way anymore. And that's such an annoying fucking feeling. It's a difficult thing to come to terms with, that I figured out in therapy, was that you can't control your feelings. You don't get to decide if something upsets you or makes you mad, happy, whatever. It just does. And really, I feel you go to therapy and figure out your mental health to realize how to feel your feelings and figure them out and handle them, but you can't control them. You don't get to decide. And that part's really fucking annoying, because I don't know. I feel lately, since I've been going through this hump, I'm very much feeling I don't resonate with the shit that I've been up to, which is annoying. It sucks to not feel yourself, I guess. That's a hard thing. And I think it surely comes with going through something big in your life. A big point of change and growth is getting uncomfortable and, going through things and being this doesn't feel like me. But so I guess the perfect version of me is something that I was thinking about the other day, because I was just stressed, and I just was oh my God, I feel I'm going through it. I was what's the perfect version of me? What is my ideal Amber? What does she do in this scenario? What are the choices that she would make? And I don't know if this was a helpful thing to do. I wasn't trying to think about the perfect version of me in terms of hating myself now for not being her. But I guess more so a goal to work toward is oh, in this scenario, if I'm feeling very not myself, what does the perfect Amber do in this situation? What's the me that I want to work towards? And I really was sitting with that the other day and trying to go through what does she do? And for me, especially lately, I feel the perfect version of me, the perfect Amber, she's independent. Something I struggle with so much. She can go to breakfast by herself and sit down at a restaurant and by herself. This sounds so stupid. I hope one of you is thinking that you relate to this, because some people really don't. Some people can do all kinds of shit on their own, and I cannot. I'm not very good at being by myself. I'm actively working on it. This is something that I really want to fix about myself. But I notice that when I'm alone, especially like in my apartment or something, I will like fill my time purposefully. And I think it's to avoid. I think it's an avoidant. Like I've just realized this recently, like because I just thought like, oh, I'm a social butterfly, which I am. I'm like very extroverted and stuff. But I also noticed that I'm filling my time so that I don't have to be by myself. So if I like stack things with other people, then I don't have to be alone, which is like very avoidant of me, and I don't want to do that anymore. So the perfect version of me can do things on her own. She doesn't need anyone else, but she enjoys other people, but she doesn't like need them. Right now, I'm feeling very much like I need other people, and I'm trying to like, it's like I'm just now noticing I have this habit of like when I'm home at my house, I will like FaceTime one of my friends or whatever for like an hour or two. And maybe I'm FaceTiming them while I'm doing something else, or maybe I'm not doing anything but FaceTiming them. And if you live far away from your friends or family, you notice that like you'll know like this is something you have to like pack into your schedule. Like I don't usually answer calls from my family unless I like have like until I have like a good hour or two. I'm not saying I like ignore them, but like I wait until I have like a good hour or two because I don't see them very often. The last time I saw my family was like 6-7 months ago. So like when we do like talk, like I want to like have like it's like spending time with them. It's like hanging out with them. It's not just like a quick like hi, how are you? It's like an hour or two, probably like an hour, maybe an hour and a half of like catching up, like chit chatting, what's going on with you, like almost like equivalent to like hanging out with them in person, getting food together or whatever. And so this is like, I feel like I've kind of gone off on a tangent right now, but this is relevant because like I have a lot of friends in Ohio, family in Ohio, like my parents, my siblings, and like at least 3 or 4 friends that like, I don't FaceTime all the time, mind you. This is like every once in a while. I mean, I talk to my family probably more often, but like you almost like have to have like a designated time to like speak to these people or else you will not speak to them. Like again, like I'm on the other side of the country. If we're not FaceTiming or talking on the phone, like then I have no fucking clue what's going on with you. But I noticed that I lately, especially, have been like stacking these FaceTime calls. And like once I get off the phone with one person, I will just go to the next. So maybe I talk to my friend for like an hour or two. And then like as soon as that call ends, I will like call somebody else. And I like got to a point where I was like, Amber, because I think I noticed because my phone was fucking dying. And I don't usually do this, I don't think. I feel like this is new. But I was like, my phone's fucking dying. I'm usually not even on my phone that much. Like I'm usually pretty good about like trying to like live in the real world and like not like be on it all the time. And I noticed that like I've been on the phone with somebody for like hours, Amber, like hours today. You have gone from like phone call to phone call to phone call. You talk to your brother for 2 hours, you talk to your roommate, and then you talk to your other friend. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you on the phone so much? I don't even like it. I don't even like holding like, when you're like doing things around your house and you're like holding your phone while you're trying to like clean the fucking kitchen and clean the, like, this is like too much. This is too much time on the phone. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing that? Why do I need to be on the fucking phone with someone all the fucking time, 24 hours? And then I kind of took a step back and I was like, I think I really fucking hate being alone. And I don't want to be alone with my fucking thoughts or feelings or whatever. And so even when I'm doing like mindless tasks, I'm like always on the phone. Or another thing that I do that I don't know if this is necessarily a bad thing, but I listen to a lot of music, like a fuckload of music. Like at the end of the year on my Spotify thing, I have like a shitload of hours, like weeks of fucking listening to music. And I don't know if it's because I like hate the silence, but I do love music, obviously. But I'm like, I don't know, especially with TikTok and stuff and social media, I notice I'm always trying to fill the silence and fill the being alone and fill the bored so that I don't have to feel those things. And I don't want to do that. But this is one of those things where I'm feeling very disconnected with myself because I notice that I like can't stop. Like I'm like I will like be on TikTok scrolling and I'll like realize I don't want to do this. Like I don't want to spend an hour on TikTok today. And I'll close out the app and I'll put away my phone. And then I just pick it right back up. And I'm like, this is crazy. This is like me not feeling like I have control over my fucking self right now. This is bizarre. Same exact thing when I like eat. Like most meals, like I fucking eat alone in my fucking apartment. Like, and I notice when I like sit down to eat, like I have like this, there's like this pot on my table and I always set my phone up against it and like watch TikToks while I eat, which is fine and all. I'm sure like a million people do that, but I'm like, am I capable of just sitting down and having a meal without like being entertained like, with my phone? And I did this today. I like put down my phone and I tried to like do it. And I was like, this is the longest meal I've ever had. This is very, very long. Or I'll set my phone up on that pot and I'll FaceTime someone and I'll talk to someone. which, not saying these things are bad things, but it's like the bad thing is like I can't go without it. Like, of course, like if you're like, of course, if I'm like FaceTiming one of my friends or family, this is not a bad thing to be talking to my friends or family at all. Like, again, it's hard because I'm on the other side of the country. I want to talk to these people. I want to be caught up and hear from them because I don't get to see them very much. But at the same time, it's like when it gets to the point where I cannot go without him, like that's where we have a problem. And so that is something that I've been working on lately and I've noticed about myself, and the perfect version of myself doesn't do that. She can like chill out and she can like have a meal by herself and go to breakfast by herself, and like she can be alone. I'm so fucking bad at being alone. Worse than I thought. Like I've noticed this past week, it's significantly worse than I thought. I thought it was bad. But yeah, it's like I'm just always like, it feels like the noise is very loud right now, if that makes any sense at all. Like it just feels like there's so like I'm like shoving things into my brain to like, you know how like social media and like these quick videos are like very like it's like throwing a lot at your brain at one time. And it feels like my brain can't be like bored. Like I don't know. I feel like I've seen a lot of things about like social media, technology, how it's impacting kids and all that shit and whatever, what it does to their brains of like always having like always having like your brain stimulated. And I did never notice that I'm like this like down bad, but like I'm like this deep into it. But like my brain is always needing stimulated, and I'm like, this is a problem. Like I want to be able to be bored, but like I cannot. I'm like always trying to fill something and like give my brain something to think about. So that is something that I will be working on lately. I did actually have like a little like achievement, something that I was proud of myself for like a week or two ago. One of my clients, she does vocal lessons, and she had a open mic night at her house. And of course she had asked me to go multiple times, and I was like, yeah, I'm going. This sounds so fun. I love singing. I want to go to an open mic night. This sounds great. And then when it came to, I like asked one of my friends, I asked her like a month in advance. She was supposed to come with me, and then she ended up, she just like something came up like actually, and so she couldn't go with me anymore. And I was like, okay, yeah, totally fine. So like ask another one of my friends, and he's like, I'm not really feeling up for like that. And I'm like, okay. And it's like a costume party too. Not that that's relevant, but it's kind of relevant. And so I asked another one of my friends, and they're like, nah, I'm not up for it. And I was like, okay. It's like the day of, and I'm like, okay, like I have to go to this by myself. I'm like, okay, like, am I ready for that? Am I ready to like go to an event, like a function by myself, where I'm like not that close to everyone there? So my fear, this is like one of my anxiety things, is like I don't have anyone to talk to there, and I'm just gonna like stand around and be such a fucking weirdo. And like, which is hilarious because I am an extrovert and I do love talking to people, but like I'm also like an anxious person who's like deathly afraid of like people not wanting to talk to me, I guess. Like new people stress me out. As soon as I've met someone, I'm like, good. I'm like coasting. I'm like, okay, cool. I can like say hi to this person. But like, I knew that at this event, I was not going to know anyone there except the host. When you only know the host, well, the host is busy. The host knows everyone else. So like, I just was like stressed. I wouldn't have anyone to talk to. But I was like, you're doing this. Like, you're end a discussion. You're doing it. Like, you need to get out of your comfort zone. This is something you have to work on. You need to do it. And so I went, and I was so proud of myself for going. I was a little bit anxious, but I was like a little bit excited too. Like I felt like, okay, I can do this. And I did it. I was so proud of myself, and I did it. And I actually did end up like meeting someone there, another girl like my age who sings too. And so like we chit chatted for like the whole night. I got her Instagram and stuff, and it was like so much fun. Like I'm like so glad that I went and I pushed myself to get out of my comfort zone and to do that. But that was like a hard thing for me to do. What's even funnier is it was an open mic night. And so I sang, and my client who had invited me was like, I'm so proud of you for getting up and singing in front of everyone. And I was like, that wasn't hard for me to do. I don't know why, but that wasn't the hard thing that I did. The hard thing that I did was show up here alone. That's like the thing that like I had to like work on and push myself to, and I'm like proud of myself for. I'm like singing in front of people. I fucking love doing that. It's so much fun. Like I was like, I could have gone all night. I was like, that's not the difficult thing. But yeah, so I was proud of myself for that. Because social functions are hard, especially when, as a person with anxiety, if you struggle with anxiety at all, I wouldn't even say I have social anxiety. I wouldn't even say that, but like just social functions are difficult. They can be hard, and especially when you don't know people there and you don't know the vibe and you're coming alone. That was like, for me anyway, a really difficult thing to do. And I did it, and I was really proud of myself for doing it. And I was like happy that I did it too. It's so fucking true. Like getting out of your comfort zone is like always the best option. I think I mentioned this in another episode, but like if it makes you anxious, that probably means you should do it. It probably means you should like get out of your comfort zone and do it. So unfortunately, no growth without some uncomfortable fucking bullshit. So yeah, I was really proud of myself for that one, but I'm still very much work in progress. That was like 2 weeks ago. So like the next thing I want to talk about is like holding yourself back. I feel like sometimes I do that to myself. And this is like the perfect version of me. She doesn't do that. Like she's not holding herself back anymore. And I do think in some ways I'm really good at not doing that. Like, I've talked about this many times, but like coming to California, moving across the country as an anxious person, that was like an insane thing for me to do. Like if you knew me in Ohio and like the anxiety that I had there, you'd be floored that I fucking like moved across the country to California and I'm like happy and I'm like staying here. And at this point, I'm not even living with anyone that I moved here with, which is also bizarre. Like I'm like living with a random roommate in Los Angeles that I met on Facebook. And if you would have met my Ohio self like a year or two ago, you'd be like, no fucking way. No fucking way Amber's doing that. She's so fucking anxious. She's so stressed. She like that. No, not possible. So like I am proud of myself for getting myself out here and like pushing myself to do things that make me uncomfortable. I think I can be kind of good at that. I think I've mentioned I've been doing vocal lessons with that one client, and she's so much fun. It's like that's one of the things that like really fills my cup. But lately we were like, let's write a song together, and so I like wrote something out, and it's like very like kind of emotional, and like it's like, you know, it's a little bit personal. And I was like really anxious to like show her what I'd written because I was like, this is nothing that I've ever done before. And like, I'm like nervous that it's like bad. Like, I don't know. That's a pretty like personal thing to do. And I did that today, like just like literally just today, I like shared it with her. And I like in my head, I was like, I'm so anxious to show her this. However, I do know for a fact in my head that like growth, like and like moving forward and like progressing forward in this scenario, in this case, is having to share this with people and like working on it with somebody else and making it better. Like I know that's the answer, which is what I want. I do want to work on it and make it better. It's just like sounds fun to do and that would make me happy. But I was like, you have to be vulnerable right now in order to get to where you want to be. And so I did it and it was fine. It was totally good. Like anxiety just like lives in my head rent free and it's like always wrong. It's always fucking wrong. But so I was really proud of myself today for that and for doing that. I was very sweaty when I walked out of there. I was like really stressed because I don't know, it's just like it's hard. The first time doing something I feel like is always so hard. I feel like usually like once you like rip the Band-Aid off, it gets easier from there. It really does. But like the first time I was like, oh my God, like I've never done this before. I've never shared like something this personal. But I'm glad that I did. So I'm moving in the right direction. I feel like very, very slowly. But in terms of like other people stuff and like trying something new and like putting myself on display, for some reason it's like easier for me. Like I said, singing in front of people is like, how the fuck is that easy for me? I have no idea. But like I didn't feel stressed at all. I didn't feel anxious at all. But then when it comes time to like when I'm home alone in my apartment and I like don't have anything I'm explicitly supposed to be doing, I like have trouble like getting through that by myself. Or I didn't really realize that I was like being extremely avoidant, and I'm a very avoidant person, especially when I get anxious. I can be very, very avoidant. I will just like ignore the hell out of shit. Like I can literally just be like, turn that off. That is, I'm not thinking about that or dealing with that anymore. Which is probably not super great, but I can be very, very avoidant, and certainly something that I'm working on, but easier said than done for damn sure. So, yeah, that's what I want to work on is like when I'm being at home, like not shoving things into my brain while I eat dinner, or like when I'm like doing my makeup, like just doing my makeup and not having to be on FaceTime. Not that this is like a bad thing, because I do like talking to my friends and stuff. Like I'm a social butterfly. I am an extrovert. And again, these people are on the other side of the country, so I would like to stay up to date with them. But it's like sometimes it's fine, Amber, to also like chill out, be alone with your thoughts. Like I noticed myself doing it in the car too. Like I was like always on the phone in the car for like a while, and I was like, why am I even doing this? I love listening to music alone in my car. I love doing that. I don't want to be on a phone call every time I'm in the car. So I don't know, like I'm getting stressed about being alone in the car, but like cut that shit out, Amber. Like just fucking like live and just fucking like live in the real world. Like you don't need to like, I don't know. I know that my phone is like sometimes a positive tool for like some really cool and creative stuff. And other times it's like very, very draining and mentally not good for me. And I want to like be able to like set it down and live in the real world and like not be so attached. I even set the fucking like parental control on my TikTok for like an hour a day, which I haven't been hitting them lately. Cool too. It hasn't even been kicking me off. So I'm proud of myself for that. So like, but I had to like put these controls on so I could like get my fucking shit together and like get the fuck off these fucking apps and like just like exist in real life. Definitely lately feeling like disconnected from my choices and actions here. I think that's what's been stressful for me lately and definitely made me want to make the move to go back to therapy, is that I'm so bad at being alone and I'm like making these decisions to be more avoidant, and I like can't stop, or I'm like not very good at stop. Like I'm not very, like usually I'm very, very self-aware and I can be honest with myself, and like that's what's that disconnect, is like not feeling like I have control over it. Like I'm so glued to my phone and I'm so glued to like fucking being on the phone with people all the fucking time. This is like, I don't know. I feel like it's gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, fuck, I can't do this on my own. And that's a hard conclusion to come to. It is. Like I, like for real, if this is anything you're thinking about or dealing with, is like, fuck, like I'm really fucking struggling here. Like I want you to know this is a very hard conclusion to come to, that like I can't fix this about myself on my own. That's hard. That's a hard thing to come to terms with. Like it fucking sucks, like admitting that to yourself. But I need you to know you're not a failure if that's like the point that you've come to. I am not a failure for saying that I need help and I can't do this on my own. By no fucking means. Therapy is like my sophomore year of college was my first time that I went. And that was really hard. Again, first time is always the hardest. It's the worst time. It was very, very difficult for me to like admit to myself that I needed to go. And then I got really, really anxious, thinking about like other people in my life and are they going and they're not going? And am I crazy? Am I like a crazy person for needing to go to therapy? And I'll be the first to tell you that you're not. You are absolutely not. Every single person should be going to therapy. I don't give a fuck what you say or what you think, but every single person, if they wanted to, could get something out of it for sure. And I'm really proud of myself for, fucking 20-year-old Amber deciding to go. And it really, really helped. It definitely, like, for sure saved me. And where I'm at right now is like where I haven't been in a long time, where I'm like not back to where I was, but just like it's just different. And so now I'm like, Amber, you need to go. But I am struggling. I'm still struggling with like admitting to myself that like, oh, I already went. I thought I already put in the time. I didn't think I would have to go back. But unfortunately, healing and this mental health stuff is not linear. It's not. It feels like fucking nothing is. And so it comes in like these fucking peaks and valleys. And it's hard to admit myself that like I was down before and then I went up and now I'm back down, and which is totally fine. But like you need to go back. Like you can't do this one on your own. You need to go back. And nothing to be embarrassed about. It's not. And I'm not saying that I am embarrassed about it. More so, I'm just like having trouble like really like pushing myself like to do it. It took me a really long time, like months, where I kept saying that I needed to go. But like it took me like a month to like even get on my insurance website and like check what areas, what places in the area would like accept my insurance. And then once I did that, I sent an email and I kind of heard back and I didn't say anything. And then they sent me, like, as of right now, they sent me paperwork 2 weeks ago. I still haven't even fucking filled it out. Like, I'm saying that on here to hold myself accountable so that maybe one of you will come up to me and be like, did you fill out that fucking paperwork? And I'll be like, fuck. Now I'm being called out for it, so I have to do it. But I don't know why it's so hard to like take the first couple steps, but I know once I like go to my first appointment and get in the routine, it'll be much easier. So I just need to like push myself, give myself that little shove and be like, get to going on, Amber. But yeah, so that's a really tough thing with therapy. And if that's anything that you're experiencing, like I'm totally right there with you. Therapy's a tough one. It is. And it's one of those things where if you don't want to get anything out of it, you won't. You truly, with therapy and mental health and all that kind of stuff, you get out what you put in. You can't just put in, your hour a week, clock in, clock out, and then be done. Like you have to like pay attention, be willing to put in the work and try the things that your therapist might be talking to you about, be open-minded. But it's easier said than done too. I mean, a fear that I've had is I've had 2 therapists in the past that I really, really liked and I connected with. And I feel very lucky and fortunate for that. But what are the odds that this third one is the same way? What if her and I don't get along? What if we don't vibe? I can't remember if I talked about this before, but An issue that I'm having was I really, really liked my therapist in Ohio, but since I moved to California and insurance bullshit, she can't take me anymore. And that alone is like, what the fuck? Like, why are these stupid barriers sitting in my way? And that sat in between me and a new therapist for a long time. Like that's like what like caused me to not like just take the fucking leap, because I have to start with a new one. Whereas if I could have just kept seeing my old one, I think it would have been easier for me to go back, because she already knows me. She knows the story. She's been with me for years. Like, she knows all the stuff. She's caught up. Now that I'm struggling, we can focus on the current stuff. It feels like if I get a new one, I got to fill around on all the old stuff and then move to the current stuff, and like, or I can't tell her about the current stuff because it won't make sense without the other stuff. And like, I don't know. That's partially making excuses for myself, but also like it is hard. It's hard to meet with a new one because some people don't vibe with their first therapist, and that's hard. And I think it's important to know that like a lot of therapists, they totally get it. They understand, and they're not going to be upset with you if you're like, hey, I just don't think we vibe. Because they also understand that this is like a very important relationship, and you have to be comfortable enough to feel like you can talk to them. And if you don't feel that way, like, it's not anybody's fault, but like, you need to be comfortable. So that is what I'm struggling with lately, is like pushing myself, giving myself that little shove to like fucking do the thing. But yeah, I'm like anxious and excited, but I need to just like fucking do it. I feel like I've been stalling on a lot of things in my life. Like I said, I can be very avoidant. So it's like I tried to like take the first step and reach out, and then they reached back out, and then like they sent me the paperwork, and then now I'm being more avoidant and just like letting it sit in my email with like I starred the email. So I would like have to look at it every time I get on my email, but like I haven't clicked it and done it yet. So that's the shit that I'm working on personally, is like being less avoidant and facing more bullshit rather than just like, I don't know why or when I got so good at like, just if something's stressing me out or whatever, I can just like set it down and just be like, fuck off. But the only way is through, unfortunately. So, but it sucks. It sucks to feel disconnected from your feelings. I don't know if any of you have ever felt the way, or maybe currently are, but I don't know. It's like, it's hard when like you're feeling something and you're like, why the fuck am I feeling this way? Like, I feel like I've been like more emotional lately, maybe a little more sensitive. Last week I went to like a Halloween party with my friends, and I was like driving my friend's car because he had drank a little bit, and so I was driving his car because I was sober. And some of my friends in the back were like making fun of me, just like playfully, but they were just like, oh yeah, like this car is too much horsepower for her, blah, 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 like whatever. He does drive like a very nice, fast car, and it was fun. But it was like getting to me. It was like getting to me. Like in my head, I was like getting annoyed, and I was like, I just want them to shut the fuck up. Like, I don't want to talk to them. Like, I'm like mad. And after and I wasn't saying anything to them because I'm very good at, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I will just shut the fuck up if I'm mad. But later on, I was like, why was I so upset about that? Like, why was I like feeling so irritated? And it sucks when you feel like a little bit too complicated for yourself, you know? And it makes me feel like, not like insecure, but like if I were to speak up about how I was feeling, then everyone would think I was crazy because I think that I'm crazy. Like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I acting this way? Why am I letting this get to me? Why am I being so sensitive? So yeah, that is the shit that I've been fucking struggling with lately. Sorry for the little bit darker, more vulnerable episode, but I hope that some of you maybe can get something out of this or relate, or if any of you are struggling with your mental health, of course, my DMs are always open. If you're thinking about going to therapy, I highly recommend it. And you definitely are not crazy, and you are not broken, and you are not like a fuck up for needing to go. It's actually like a really, really mature step in the right direction. It's like equivalent to going to the gym. You're saying you're going to the gym, you're working on yourself physically, you're going to therapy, you're working on yourself mentally. And that's something to be really proud of yourself for. I know it can be really hard to take that first step, but I'm here for you. I'm rooting for you. And we will figure this fucking shit out. I hope that I do. I need that fucking push to fucking go back. So shit that I'm working on this week, though, is going to be like reconnecting with myself and like reaching out for help when you need it. Cause that's a very good skill to like be able to like come to terms with like, I can't do this on my own and I need help and I'm going to get help. That's like a really, really mature, respectable thing. So that's where you're at. You're good. You're fucking killing it. So shit, I'm wondering this week, do you feel like embarrassed to go to therapy, or do you still feel like that current stigma around therapy? Because I don't feel it as much as I did anymore, but I will say this, and this episode has gone on for a little bit long, so I'm gonna spit this out and then we're gonna cut it off. I swear to God. I love the fact that I struggled 2 or 3 years ago with anxiety and with mental health, and I went and got help, and I like worked on myself, and I'm really proud of myself for that. And I'm even happier because now I can help other people. Like now I can like be really open and honest about mental health and therapy with other people. And I get to like now pave the way and speak out about mental health issues and say like, and try to like destigmatize it in any space that I'm in with any friends or family or or casual conversation. I will always be the first to say that I did go to therapy, that it did help, because I want other people to at least be able to look at me and be like, okay, so she went. Okay. So she went, at least Amber went. Like if you don't know anyone else who's been to therapy, you know that I went. And I got something out of it, and it was a positive experience, because I know it's something that not everyone talks about. There's probably people in your life who have gone to therapy that maybe don't talk about it, and that's okay too. That's like totally fine. If you've gone and you're just like not looking to like scream it to the world, that's totally fine. But for me, it was like I saw it as a huge advantage and an opportunity to help people, and at least be like through my struggles and the shit that I went through. At least now I can like, some good can come of it. I can like be relatable and relate to other people who might currently be struggling and help them feel less alone. And that's something that like I'm so glad that came of it. But it's really easy for me to talk about something that happened in the past because I'm past it now. It's really hard for me right now to even be making this episode and say that I'm currently struggling, because it's different and it feels like embarrassing. And like, I don't want to admit that I'm struggling now, you know? Like it's easy for me to say that I struggled in the past because I got past it. I'm not there anymore. So now I can like talk about it very casually, very openly and honestly. And I can't do that so much in the current present time. Like it's really hard for me to come out and say, no, right now I'm struggling. That's hard. Like that's fucking hard. That is like stressful to me. So that's some shit that I'm working on, like stigma wise with therapy. Is of course I always was open and honest about going in the past, but now I'm being open and honest and saying, hey, I'm going right fucking now. I'm not doing good right now, and that's okay too. Like, that's fine. I don't have to be fucking okay, and I can currently be working on myself. And just like the last time, I'm gonna get past this one too. So we're fucking working on it. But that's what I have for you for this week. If you're struggling, I'm here. I'm right there with you. And this mental health stuff is really important. It needs to be taken seriously, and it needs to be destigmatized. So let's work on that together. If you want to hear or see more from me, my Instagram and TikTok is Amber Meisner with 2 R's. And I will see you in the next one, because this mental health shit is for sure very hard.